अजब नूरेस्त दर जाने मोहम्मद, अजब लालेस्त दर काने मोहम्मद, अजब नूरेस्त दर जाने मोहम्मद, अजब लालेस्त दर काने मोहम्मद।
The Messiah is about to come. These words were buzzing in the year 1874 in Mecca. And these words reached the ears of a Mauritian, his name Al-Haj Ibrahim Suleiman Acha. He was in Mecca performing Hajj. He came back to Mauritius, and it is through word of mouth that some Mauritians came to know that the coming of the Messiah was imminent. Eventually, in 1889, in a remote village in India called Qadian, Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad alayhi salatu wassalam proclaimed to be the promised Messiah and formed the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat. The news of his coming started spreading throughout the world. It was under his guidance that the magazine Review of Religions was born in 1902. Only 5 years later, the Review of Religions had already reached the shores of Mauritius. During the same period, a society was formed with Mr. Noor Mahmud Nooraya at its head, regrouping members such as Muhammad Azim Sultangos, Maula Bakas Banu, Hassan Ali, Ibrahim Tegali, and Bakar Ali Bahadur. The society was engaged in a regular correspondence with the magazine Review of Religions. Copies of it would come from Qadian, and extracts would be published in their local French magazine called L'Islamisme. Through this correspondence over the years, more and more people in Mauritius came to know of the existence of Ahmadiyya. Even though they were facing opposition, they stood firm in their belief. In around 1914, a small group of Muslims were ready to join the fold of Ahmadiyya. It was the year of the First World War, and it happened that some Indian Ahmadi soldiers were posted in Mauritius. On meeting these avid seekers of truth, they suggested that a request be made to Qadian so that a missionary be sent to Mauritius. It was in the year 1915 that Sufi Ghulam Muhammad landed in Mauritius. Mauritius had its first Ahmadis. Through them, more and more people joined the Ahmadiyya Jamaat, and ever since 1915, Mauritius was blessed with Muballighin and missionaries who kept on coming from the Markaz.
के दीदम हुस्ने पिन्हाने मोहम्मद, अजब नूरेस्त दर जाने मोहम्मद, अजब लालेस्त दर काने मोहम्मद, दिगर उस्ताद राना में नदानम के खा
In the year 1961, another means of propagating the message of Ahmadiyyat in Mauritius came into existence. The local French newspaper of the Jamaat, called Le Message, was born with the help of the then missionary in charge and a handful of dedicated Mauritian Ahmadis. At its launch, the newspaper reached some 1,000 people and was then dispatched by post to libraries in England, Ivory Coast, Senegal, Madagascar, Spain and Congo. A local newspaper called Le Mauricien praised our Le Message newspaper on the 12th March 1968, on the very day Mauritius gained its independence.
आवाज़ आ रही है ये फोनोग्राफ.
Voices of the Khulafa kept on reaching the shores of Mauritius. With the coming of phonographs and other inventions, messages from Qadian never stopped coming. Around the mid-80s, we were getting audio tapes of Khutbah Jummah from the UK, which were then copied and distributed to the whole Mauritian Jamaat.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله.
हर तरफ आवाज देना.
Technology evolved, and Mauritius was among the first countries of the world to go further in the audio route. In 1989, Ahmadis in Mauritius organized the reception of a live Khutbah Jummah of Hazrat Khalifatul Masih al-Rabi rahimahullah ta'ala via satellite telephone. This was the first incident of its kind in the history of the Jamaat.
आज जो आप मेरे साथ खुतबा जुमा पढ़ रहे हैं, खुतबा सुन रहे हैं या जुमा पढ़ रहे हैं, आपको मैं ये खुशकुन इत्तला भी देता हूँ कि इस वक्त इस आवाज़ को मॉरिशस के अहमदी भी सुन रहे हैं और जर्मनी के अहमदी भी सुन रहे हैं. ये वो सदी का पहला खुतबा है जिसको आसमानी रस्ल और रसाइल के ज़रिए से, जिसको सैटेलाइट हुकअप कहते हैं, सबसे पहले मॉरिशस की जमात ने सुनने का इंतज़ाम किया और अब मुझे इत्तला मिली है कि जर्मनी की जमात ने भी इस खुतबे को बराह रास्त सुनने का इंतज़ाम किया हुआ है.
Hazur told the Jamaat that Allah had greeted him with the words Assalamu alaikum at the start of the 2nd century. And it was surely Allah's decree that when for the very first time that our Khalifa's voice was being transmitted outside of London was to happen on Mauritian soil.
अस्सलामु अलैकुम रहमतुल्लाहि व बरकातुहू. आज हम मॉरिशस से कादियान के बैनुल अक़वामी जलसे में शिरकत करने की सआदत पा रहे हैं. अगरचे मैं इस वक्त मॉरिशस की सरज़मीन से बोल रहा हूँ, लेकिन हम सब इस वक्त अल्लाह ताला के फजल और रहम के साथ मवासिलाती राब्ते के ज़रिए दर हकीकत कादियान के जलसे में शिरकत कर रहे हैं और कादियान ही के जलसे का ये इख्तितामी प्रोग्राम है.
In December 2005, the voice of Hazrat Khalifatul Masih al-Khamis, ayyadahullah ta'ala bin Nasrihil Aziz, was once again echoed from the soil of Mauritius.
सो चढ़े सूरज नहीं बिन रुए दिल पर रोशनी ये जहां पे
And it's no surprise that 11 years later, in 2016, under the instruction of Hazrat Khalifatul Masih al-Khamis, Ayyadahullah Ta'ala bin Nasrihil Aziz, Mauritius was requested to set up an MTA studio falling under MTA Africa. Since reaching the shores of Mauritius more than a century ago through word of mouth, today Ahmadi Muslims in Mauritius are able to contribute in the propagation of Islam Ahmadiyyat through its state-of-the-art MTA studio to reach many more corners of the world. This only confirms how divinely guided Jamaat Ahmadiyya is.
हर तरफ आवाज देना है हमारा काम आज जिसकी फितरत नेक है वो आएगा अंजाम कार वो आएगा अंजाम कार